You sure know your boxing?
Well, all I know is never bet on the white guy. You got an address in there?
All I've got is a card that says Monique DiCarlo, 210 Bleckman Street.
That's the red light district. Wonder why Savage is hanging out down there.
Sex, Frank?
No, not right now, Ed. We got work to do. Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
It is immaterial to me who has the last word. Bolotnik!
Abalutza! Anybody catch the license plate? Anybody get a look at the driver?
Surely you can't be serious if you've never heard of the Canadian actor Leslie Nielsen, who's appeared in more than 100 films, 150 TV programs, portraying more than 220 characters. You know you've laughed at him at one point in time. And don't call me Shirley. Nielsen made his film debut in 1956 with supporting roles in dramas, western, romances, and other films between the 50s and the 70s. He was mainly known as a serious actor for movies like The Forbidden Planet and Poseidon Adventure, but it wasn't until the 80s and 90s when he began being known for comedy from his deadpan movies and Airplane and, other Naked Gun series. But before all that, he had to go through his own excellent adventure through time. Nielsen grew up with a troubled and alcoholic father, so when he graduated high school at 17, he joined the Royal Canadian Air Force, even though he was legally deaf at the time. While studying in Toronto, Nielsen received a scholarship to the Neighborhood Playhouse in New York City.
That stuff made in New York City! New York City!
Afterward, he attended the Actors Studio until making his first TV appearance in 1948 on an episode of Studio One alongside Charlton Heston, who paid him $75. Nielsen began his dramatic roles in television during the Golden Age, appearing in almost 50 live programs in 1950 alone. He mainly narrated documentaries and commercials. Most of his early work was uneventful. In 1956, he made his feature film debut in The Vagabond King. Although the film wasn't successful, it did lead to an audition for Forbidden Planet and a contract with MGM. Forbidden Planet became an instant success and led to other roles in MGM films such as Ransom, The Opposite Sex, and Hot Summer Night. In 1957, what was supposed to be his big break with Debbie Reynolds and Tammy and the Bachelor didn't turn out so well, so he became very dissatisfied with the movies he was getting at MGM. He then immediately left MGM after not getting the role for Masala in Ben-Hur. His last dramatic role before going mainly comedy was in 1979's City on Fire. Nielsen then began his comedy career in 1980 in a supporting role as Dr. Rumack in Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker's 1980s Airplane. The director specifically casted Nielsen and other serious actors because they wanted people to be oblivious to comedy and not comedians delivering the lines.
From there, the poison goes to work on the central nervous system, causing severe muscle spasms, followed by the inevitable drooling. At this point, the entire digestive system collapses, accompanied by uncontrollable flatulence, until finally the poor bastard is reduced to a quivering, wasted piece of jelly.
Since then, Airplane has become a huge cult classic, and even in 2008, it was included in the American Film Institute top 10 comedy films of all time. Nielsen even thought the Shirley line was amusing, but never thought it would catch on like it did, pretty much a trademark of his everywhere he walked around. The same directors cast Nielsen in their similar style television show Police Squad. The series introduced Nielsen's character Frank Drebin, the stereotypical police officer modeled after serious characters in earlier police series. His serious character basically falls into sight gags and pratfalls all around him. The show only lasted 6 episodes, but Nielsen did receive an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series.
I don't know. My memory ain't so great.
Oh, yeah? Maybe this will refresh your memory.
I don't know, it's still kind of hazy.
How about this?
Yeah, I remember him. I used to see him around. Why do you want to know?
I can't tell you that.
Well, maybe this'll help.
I really don't think I should.
Yeah, you still don't think so?
All right, his name is Nordberg.
6 years after the cancellation of Police Squad, the film's Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad returned Nielsen to the role as Frank Drebin. Like the Doctor in Airplane, he seemed unaware of all the absurdity around him when contributing to it, and he even did most of his own stunts. The Naked Gun was so successful, it spawned 2 sequels. The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear.
Well, looks like the cows have come home to roost. How you doing, Trooper?
And The Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult.
Before we're all blown to bits, mind if I pull the underwear out of my crack? Man's got to go comfortable.
All right, but that's it.
All right, give it up, Rocco. Your history.
Look! George Hamilton!
After successful runs in comedies with Airplane and the Naked Gun series, he began trickling off into movies like Repossessed, the 2001 Space Travesty, The Exorcist, and Space Odyssey parodies, and Mel Brooks' Dracula Dead and Loving It, which led into Spy Hard, which is kind of a knockoff of some of the Bond movies at the time, and Wrongfully Accused was somewhat similar, but just didn't pan out for him very well. He had lost a little more momentum in 1993 with Surf Ninjas, where he had a lot of scathing reviews from critics who were disappointed that his role's only extended cameo, and that his comedy just really isn't fitting anything outside the Naked Gun series. His first major success since the Naked Gun series was a supporting role in Scary Movie 3 and 4 as President Harris, where, he pretty much played a different version of Frank Drebin. After acting in his spare time, he created instructional golf videos that were more comedic and on his level of comedy than any other ones you would ever see. He once joked that he had no goals or ambitions, however, to keep whatever celebrity status he had maintained so he could keep getting invited to golf tournaments. In November of 2010, Nielsen was admitted to Fort Lauderdale Hospital with pneumonia. On the 28th of that same month, it was announced that Leslie Nielsen had passed of pneumonia at the age of 84 years old. He was surrounded by family and friends, and as a bit of final humor, he chose Let Her Rip as his epitaph.
Till she meets Commander Adams, played by talented Leslie Nielsen.
So the next time you're sitting down watching a Leslie Nielsen movie, either Poseidon, Forbidden Planet, Naked Gun, Mr. Magoo, or Surf Ninjas, just remember, he wasn't all this slapstick comedy. There was more to him, but to him, he always wanted to make you laugh first.
Looks like you and your cohorts will be doing your boxing up at the state-built prison from now on.